Hello, music fans. You're watching the Death by Unicorn channel, and today I'm doing a full length album review. This is the third time I'm doing one of these. Today I'm reviewing the debut self titled album by Sykofant, which will be released on Friday, May 31st, 2024. So stay tuned for that release. Previously, I've done full length reviews for an album by the 20 Committee as well as one by Caligula's Horse. Usually, I just do more quick first impressions, but sometimes I want to dive deeper into an album and talk about it in detail. So, this new self titled album by Sykofant is progressive rock with jazz fusion, pop, funk, and surf influences, a very nice blend of genres and really unique and interesting sound. First off, I want to say a big thank you to the band for sending me this promo copy of their album. And before I get deep into the review, I will spoil it a bit and say that this will certainly be a contender for my top 50 albums of the year list at the end of the year, which is a high honor because I do expect I'll listen to over 400 new albums this year, like I did last year. Um, this will also very likely be in my top 10 debut albums. And calling all prog rock and metal bands, my email address is in my About section of my channel. And if you want to give me early access to your music before it gets released, or send me a physical copy, it's pretty much 100% certainty I'll talk about you on my channel. I don't get too many yet, but maybe in the future I'll get more, and I'll need to be more selective about which ones I mention if I start to get too many. But that hasn't happened yet. I think I need to get a lot more popular before I get inundated with emails from bands, but I'm really happy that Sykofant reached out to me and sent this to me. So awesome. Now, back to the album. This is the debut album by this Norwegian band. Sykofant is Emil Moen on guitar and vocals. And apologies, folks, if I mispronounce your names here. These are Norwegian names, and my pronunciation might not be good. We have Melvin Trader on drums, Per Sem on guitar and backing vocals, and then Cinder Hogan on bass and backing vocals. Now, how did the band start? I think from their bio, Emil Moen and Per Sem founded Sykofant in Oslo. They were both members of the thrash metal band called Tantera, which I find interesting because their music in Sykofant doesn't sound anything like thrash metal. The other two members were recruited shortly thereafter. And the story of this album is it was recorded in July 2023 at Shaka Khan Studios in collaboration with the producer Ole Ofstedel, and the album was mastered by Christian Obermeier, and it's inspired by the sci-fi and psychedelic aesthetics of the 1970s. It delves into existential themes such as time, alienation, the search for meaning, and humanity's relationship with nature. And this concept album offers a unique 55-minute listening experience without interruptions. It seamlessly transitions from serene ballads to pulsating funk rhythms, traversing desolate canyons, shameless pop choruses, heart-wrenching blues melodies, introspective jazz chaos, and the evocative sounds of spaghetti western. The album presents a unique and intricate musical tapestry where compositional and lyrical themes intertwine to create a cohesive and immersive sound journey. Now, what do we want to talk about first here? Before diving into the music and lyrics, let's actually talk a little bit about the album art. So to me, I'm not entirely sure what this is, but it looks like an animal's skull in a desert, maybe at the bottom of a mountain. That's what I see. And then on the back, it looks like this. You got the track listing there. Might be like this is the animal's skull, and that's like the rib cage. That's what I see when I look at it. I'm not very good at interpreting art. I just know I like it. It looks cool. So what does the music sound like on here? The band has stated that their influences are bands like Pink Floyd, King Crimson, Cream, Led Zeppelin, Jethro Tull, Yes, Rush, all great bands. Then they've stated Madrugada, a band that I'm not as familiar with, but maybe I'll have to check them out. And then Opeth, Mastodon, and Porcupine Tree. So I love all those bands. They're all bands that I enjoy thoroughly, although I haven't heard Madrugada. For me, I'd recommend Sykofant to people who are fans of um, Rush, Led Zeppelin, Porcupine Tree, Mastodon, and Baroness, because to me it sounded like a mix of those bands. And ahead of the album, they've actually released 4 singles already. So if you're watching this, I'm probably putting out this album review before this album is available on streaming. But there are 4 singles from the album that you can listen to right now. Those are Between Air and Water, Monuments of Old, Strangers, and Forgotten Paths. Between Air and Water and Monuments of Old in particular are the perfect tracks to check out for an introduction to the band's style. The intro of Monuments of Old reminds me of Rush, and in general, a lot of the bass playing in this band reminds me of Geddy Lee, which I think is great because Geddy Lee is one of my favorite bassists of all time. The guitars on here also sound a bit like Rush, like Alex Lifeson. The drums, though, sound more like Led Zeppelin than they do Rush, and the vocals don't really sound like Rush or Led Zeppelin at all to me. They kind of reminded me of the band Baroness. So let's talk more in depth about the music composition. Let's go through all the tracks and talk about them. Um, since I'm not really a lyrics expert and I'm usually primarily focused on music, I decided to focus more on the music for my thoughts on each track. I know this is a concept album, but I'll be honest, I haven't read into the lyrics enough to understand the concept well enough to talk about it. But on the musical side, the album opens up with the track Pavement of Color, which is 4 minutes and 31 seconds. I like it about 2.5 minutes into the song, the guitar part has a bit of a reggae vibe to it. That really reminds me of Alex Lifeson from Rush. The second track, Between Air and Water, is a lengthier track at 12 minutes and 36 seconds. It's possibly my favorite track on the album. I love the guitar riffing in particular. And the instrumental section near the end of the song, from 7 minutes and 20 seconds onwards to the end at 12:36, it's instrumental and it's just an awesome section. The third track, Monuments of Old, is an excellent track. The guitar riffing at 2:50 again sounds so much like Alex Lifeson from Rush. There's lots of cool time signature changes in this song, Monuments of Old, going between time signatures with 7 beats per bar, some at parts in 4. The fourth track, Between the Monuments, is 5 minutes and 13 seconds. It's the softer song on the album. The guitar riffing around 1:30 sounds like some softer Mastodon songs to me in the way they arpeggiate the chords. Fifth track, Strangers, is 10.5 minutes. I like the evil bluesy surf section at 4.5 minutes. And then the part at 6:20 reminds me of the Kung Fu fighting song mixed with like evil surf music and spaghetti western music. A really interesting blend. I think this kind of interesting blend of genres could also appeal to fans of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, with the surf and the spaghetti western and the evil blues and the rock and metal all kind of combined in there. And the final track, Forgotten Paths, is the long prog epic. It's 14 minutes and 19 seconds. And at the 12-minute mark, yeah, it's just an awesome prog epic. At the 12-minute mark, it does something which I like. It references a theme from earlier in the album, from the second track, Between Air and Water. The part that happens at 2 minutes in that second track, it comes back at 12 minutes in the final track here. In the second track, it's the vocals that sing the melody of the theme, but in the final track, the guitars are playing it. I just like those types of callbacks to musical themes, so that was really cool. Really enjoyed that. Great job, Sykofant. Now, let's talk about the performances on the album. The drums here are nice. They're jazzy, yet they're forceful. To me, they sound a lot like John Bonham of Led Zeppelin. The bass lines are heavy, yet funky. They're busy. To me, they sound like Geddy Lee of Rush. The guitar solos here are virtuosic, yet they're catchy. Really great, like Alex Lifeson style guitar solos. The riffs are harmonic, yet chaotic. The vocals are energetic, yet longing. And to me, they reminded me a bit of Baroness. If I have anything negative to say, which I don't really, I just say that I don't think the band is pushing too many boundaries here and innovating into new sonic spaces. They do, however, have a very distinct and unique sound and style that blends and combines the bands that they cite as influences. Rather than breaking completely new ground, you can definitely hear the combination of their influences on here, which I think is fine. Perhaps it's really good for a debut album, and I'm really interested to hear what this band does next, because I can imagine them on their follow-up album kind of pushing more boundaries and taking some more risks. The production on here is really well done, but it doesn't really stand out as like mind-blowingly good production or anything. I just like that I can hear every part on this album and it sounds good. So that is enough for me on the production side, but perhaps in the future they'll experiment with more production candy in the future and give us some of those awesome things that you hear in albums like Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, give us some of those vibes. I feel like this band has a great variety of influences. When they cited their influences in bands that they enjoy, I feel like if they keep following those to the extreme, they might get some good production candy in the future. That'd be one of my recommendations for them. And then the only main other thing I want to comment on is this album flow is really nice. Like, the order of the songs is great. I think it just works well. I think the callback to an earlier melodic theme in the later tracks is a really nice touch that I always love to hear in prog albums. Now, before I give this an overall rating, I'll talk quickly about the rating scale that I use for my reviews. I have tiers, and my top tier is masterpiece. And when I say something's a masterpiece, I mean go buy a physical copy of it right now. Each year there's maybe like 1 to 10 at most albums that would get this masterpiece rating. Next tier below that, I have near masterpiece. And for this one, you at least have to digitally download it now, if not buy a physical copy. And for this one, maybe every year there's like 10 to 30 albums that might get this near masterpiece rating. My next tier below near masterpiece is excellent, which means definitely go out and listen to this right now. Then I have very good, which means listen if you're interested. Then good, which is also listen if you're interested. Then average, which is listen if you're interested. Then I have below average, which is don't waste your time listening to this. Not good is the next tier, which means run away. Like, that's my lowest tier. Not good. But for this album, I'm going to put it in my excellent tier, which means go listen to this right now as soon as you can, as soon as it's available on streaming or as soon as you buy a physical copy. This is excellent. I couldn't quite justify putting it in near masterpiece or masterpiece for the slight nitpicks that I mentioned about wanting to hear some more innovation, more production candy, but I think this band is very capable of making a near masterpiece or a masterpiece, and I will be waiting patiently for the next thing they do to see if they can blow my mind with their next release. So hopefully this release sounds interesting to you. Go check out Sykofant and their self-titled debut album. It's a great Norwegian prog rock band. Very promising. I look forward to hearing what they do next. And stay tuned for other music reviews on my channel, or just my quick first impressions or top 10 lists, things like that. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed and you like my content. and stay tuned for next time. Peace out.